As I have mentioned before, my wife and I like to go on cruises. And the cruise line that we particularly use, they have a art studio, and they give away a free print on each cruise. And what we do is we partake in the free print and rarely partake in the auction for the actual art. So we received this painting print we kind of like. It's got a sunset here and some palm trees. It's a little on the dark side, but it's still pleasant to look at. So I'm going to be making a frame for this, and I have some cherry, and I'm thinking I'm going to use this cherry for the frame. Now the problem is that I don't know if I have enough. I got this piece here too, but there's a lot of cracks in it, so I'm going to have to work around the cracks. But I do have several pieces, and I think we'll be able to make this work. So that is going to be today's video, and the very first step is going to be to measure the frame and what the actual artwork is, and that way we can work off of that. So that's 12 inches. And that's 10. Now that I have that done, I can restow this so it doesn't get ruined and bring it back inside the house and start milling the wood. Okay, so I have now milled the boards to thickness, and now I need to make the width. And so it's going to be no wider than the thinnest piece I have here, so we know that for sure. But the trick is going to be, I'm going to need almost all this length. Almost all this length here. So I'm going to... So these two are the long side. Okay. And these two will be the short side. And I'm probably going to knock off some of the width on this piece here. But let's say we did this same width here. What I don't want is, I don't want the live edge, so I'm going to have to cut that off. And then here's a wormhole that I'd either have to fill in or cut off. But we also have some cracks here and here. So if I were to do that, now this side looks good, so that wormhole can actually be in the back, and I can fill that with epoxy. So the trick is to try to pick your best piece of this wood. Okay, so I have now cut each frame piece to the width it needs to be, and I still need to do length, but I'll hold off for that for a little bit. And 3 out of the 4 pieces I was able to avoid all the defects. Now this piece has a wormhole here and a crack, and even though I really don't need to do anything with it, I could just leave it because it's on the back side. I think I want to put some epoxy, especially in this crack, to stabilize the crack so it doesn't extend. So I got some 5-minute epoxy, and that's what I'm going to do now. So it's been an hour and it's still a little tacky, so I'm going to wait till tomorrow and finish up this project then. I'd like that to be completely set before I proceed. But in the meantime, what I did was I added super glue to this corner right here, because when I cut it a little narrower than I really wanted it to be. So I figured adding some super glue would strengthen that wood and hopefully keep it from breaking. All right, it's then the next day, and the epoxy has dried and the wormhole is filled in nicely. Now this is the back and they'll never be seen, but it's still nice to make sure everything is in good shape. And who knows, some of that might be cut off. So now what we're gonna do is I'm going to cut the long bevels off. And once that's done, I will go ahead and calculate how long the shorts should be. The picture itself is 12 inches by 10. And what's going to happen is if I don't relationally size the shorts based on the long, or I could do it the other way around, but I want to have this frame to be as big as possible. But if I don't relationally size it, then it's going to look weird. You'll have like a squarer frame, and the picture inside will be sized weird. All right, so the outside measurement of this is 14 and 13/16. And like I said before, we want to base the shorts off the measurements of the longs, but we don't have to go crazy. 13/16 is close enough to 16/16 that nobody's ever going to really notice. So the measurement is that the short has to be 83% the size of the longs. And so to calculate that, the long of the actual painting is 12 by 10. So you divide it by 12, or you divide 10 divided by 12, you get to 8333333 infinitum. So 833 is close enough. So the we're going to round up to 15 on this. 15 times 0.8333 is 12.4995, which is close enough to 12.5. So we're going to make the shorts 12.5. I don't know if I've ever mentioned it, but this little 90-degree miter, which does 45s on the table saw, is a game changer in my picture frame making world. And the reason is because this is 90 degrees right here. 100% guaranteed this is 90 degrees. This has been determined. So it doesn't matter if it's sitting in the miter just a little off, as long as you make your opposing cuts on this miter. Then what ends up happening is that as long as I do this and then I'll make the second cut like this, then the complementing angles will be 90 degrees. You don't have to really even think about it that much. You just do it. It's a great tool. I recommend buying one if you have a need for making picture frames. All right, so I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup on the edges here and let the glue set for roughly a half hour and then pull it out of the clamps. I forgot to put wax paper down. Let's hope that I get this apart nicely. I'm going to let this set for a while and let that glue set a little bit stronger, and then I will sand it, and we'll meet you after sanding is complete. This frame's looking rather good in my opinion. I've put 3 coats of lacquer. I didn't want to use polyurethane this time because polyurethane darkens and I wanted it to stay light. And tomorrow, once this lacquer has set completely, I will go ahead and finish it up.
Wow, what a difference.
Good. Finally, after every woodworking project, you should always count your fingers. You end with 10. Good job.